Hi, and welcome back to your crafty place. Today we are going to work on making some cards using two pieces of 12 by 12 paper. This is not cardstock. This is, how many pieces are? This is just a little bit thicker than copy paper, but it's not cardstock. This one is heavier. I don't know if you can hear that versus the sound of that one. They're a little bit different. If these were cardstock, I would not be using the 8.5 by 11, but since these are paper, I'm also going to be using cardstock so that it makes them a little bit thicker and the glue won't show through as bad. But I'm going to start with the 12 by 12 pages, and I'm just going to stack them one on top of the other. And then I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut our first one. I'm going to make a cut at, and these are not directional, so it doesn't really matter which direction I cut them. If yours are directional, you'll want to pay attention to that, although it doesn't really matter because you can just turn your card landscape instead. But I'm going to make the first cut at 4. Move the glue press just out of the way. And these cards that we're going to be making just require a paper trimmer, some paper, some glue, some card bases, and that's pretty much it. You'll need a sentiment of some sort or cut aparts or something for the front of the cards, but other than that you won't need anything else. So then we're going to cut at 5 1/4, which should leave us with 2 3/4. I'm going to go ahead and start with this one since I have it. The 2 3/4 one I'm going to cut to 5 1/4 first. And again, my pages are just stacked one on top of the other. There's my first piece. And then I'm going to cut my second piece at 4. And that should leave this one at 2 3/4. So this one is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So that's our first set. Then I'm going to take the 5 1/4 inch piece. I'm going to cut my first one by 4. So that, this here is a 5 1/4 by 4, which would be a layering, normal layering piece. Now I'm going to cut the next one by 3. And then I'm going to cut, this one is a 5 by 5 piece. And I'm going to cut that at 2 1/2. Oops, sorry, that's 5 1/4. So I'm going to cut it on the 5 1/4 inch side. I'm going to cut it at 2 1/2. And so that gives me a 2 1/2 inch piece and a 2 3/4 inch piece because I cut it on the 5 1/4 inch piece. So there's those. And then our last piece, which is the 4, we're going to make our first cut at 5 1/4. And then the next cut is going to be at 3 1/4, which will then leave us with a 3 1/2 inch piece. Now, again, with these, because these are paper, I want layers behind each one of them. So I'm going to go ahead and take my gray cardstock, which I have 4 pieces, depending on how I cut it. You may be able to get it out of all your layering pieces out of 3 pieces, but you may need 4 if you don't do a great job at calculating what you need, and I don't, so I got 4. I may need more. I've got some to the side here. I'm going to take our first one. I'm going to cut it at 5 3/8 on the 11 inch side. And then I'm going to cut the 4 1/8, and I'm going to cut another 4 1/8. So that takes care of these two. So there's that one, and there's that one. And then we also have these two that are the 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and use this other sheet, this other half, cut it again to 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And you could make your mat all the way to the card base size if you wanted to go 5 1/2 and 4 1/4. That's up to you. I like that little bit of white showing around there. So then there are 2 more. See, there's not much of it, but it makes it more substantial. So there are those pieces. Okay, so now I'm going to take another piece. This time I'm going to go ahead and cut it to 4 1/8, I think, this way, and I may be doing this wrong. If you have a better way to do it, by all means, do it the better way. So I have a 3 1/4 inch piece, so I'm going to do 3 3/8. And remember, we cut twice, so we need 2 this side. So 3 3/8 again. And then I'm gonna find the pieces we have here. I think that's these 2. So there's that and that one. So those all have layering pieces. And now this one I could trim down and have the size that I need on this one. So this one is the 3 1/2 inch. Yeah, 3 1/2. So this time we're going to go 3 5/8. So that is 1. And this one I'm going to do 3 5/8. And this is by 4, so I want the 4 1/8 again. So I'm just going to trim off just a little bit, and that gives us for this piece. So then I have some 5 1/4 inch pieces here, and I have this is a 5 inch piece that is by 2 1/2, and then I have a 5 inch piece that's by 2 3/4. So what I have left here is 4 3/8. So let's see, what do we want to do that will give us our best one here. So this one is a 5 by 4 by 3. Let's go ahead and cut that down. We're not going to get 2 out of it. Let's do the 2 3/4 first. So I'm going to cut the 2 3/4 to 2 7/8. And then I have a 4 1/8 piece, which is one of these. And that is definitely bigger than that one, so I must have cut that one a little bit more, but that's okay. And then I have enough here to do the 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, which would be 2 7/8 by the 2 7/8 here. Let's see what we got. That one is 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, and we're going to use those 2 pieces. So this one again was 2 7/8. So that is 2 pieces that we've used. So now I'm going to look at this one, which is the 5 1/4. So I'm going to do the 5 3/8. And this is by 3, so a little bit more than 3, but we're going to do 3 1/8. And another one at 3 1/8. So there's that one. There's that one. And then this one I think is too small for any of the pieces yet. So we've got scraps, but don't throw these scraps away, because we can use these to make flags and other accents on the card. So don't throw any of your scraps away. Just set them to the side. So this is another 5 1/4 no, so sorry, 5. This is another 5 1/4. So this one is a 2 3/4. So let's just go ahead and cut this down to 5 1/8. And which one is this one? That's not the right one, that's this one. Okay, so this one is a 2 3/4. So I want it by 2 7/8. So there's one. And there's 2. So there's, whoops, I cut that wrong, didn't I? Cut it more for this one. Yep, that's my bad. So we're gonna, whoops, I dropped a piece. So we're gonna do this one here, which is 5. So I'm gonna just cut this one down a little bit. So this one is 5 by 2 1/2. So I'm gonna stack these two on each top of each other. And I keep saying 5, it's not, yeah, it's 5. So this way I need to go 2 5/8. So that was my bad. I wasted a little bit of paper there by doing that. That's okay. 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. So now I'm on to sheet number 4, and I have a 5-inch piece here. That's what these two pieces are. So I'm going to cut to the 5 1/8 again. And let's see if I can get this right this time. So this is 2 3/4. So I need 2 7/8. So 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. So that's 1. That's 2. And I don't think these are not big enough. Okay, so now we've got these two pieces that are 5 1/4. So I'm going to go this way and go to a 5 3/8. And then it is by 2 3/4. So we're going to do 2 7/8. 2 7/8. And then the next one's by 2 7/8 as well. So we're gonna, don't have much to cut off of that one. It's okay. 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. And then the last two pieces that we have are here. We have one that is 2 3/4 by 4. So let's do this by 4 1/8. Let's see if we get this here. I think that one works. It's really hard to tell because of the gray color of the paper. And then the last one that we have is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. I don't think this one will work. I don't think it's quite big enough. So we're going to go 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. Okay. I am now going to go off screen and glue all of these pieces together, and then I will be back and we will put the cards together. Okay, so I have most of them glued down. I did hold back 2 of the full-size sheet ones because I thought we would do these a little bit different, just so that we didn't have a lot of cards that were the exact same. I have the bases cut, or the backgrounds cut for them, so I'm going to go ahead and cut all of them at a diagonal here. So I'm just going to go point to point, and I did bring out my smaller paper trimmer for this, just because it's easier to fit on my desk. You do not have to have a separate paper trimmer for this, but I have 2 of them now. I'm going to do the same with the back. I'm going to show you some of them that I've done with some additional die cuts, and then some that I've done with some cut aparts or some ephemera. but most of these cuts are the same with the exception of these. These guys are different. So I've just taken 2 of these pieces, and I apologize, I've got glue all over my fingers. I've taken 2 of these pieces, one from each of the pieces, pads, or each of the pieces of paper that I cut, the 12 by 12, and I've glued them together. So you can see that it's not a full 5 1/4 by 4 inch background. I've left some of the white base from the card base showing. But they're just 2 pieces stuck together in different ways. And these were all of them that I used some ephemera from Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Meadow Flowers. And I have a couple more left in there, but those, and then these I used some die cuts on, but again, same principle. There's just 2 of those pieces. The reverse, these all had the flowers on the top. These, for the most part, have the yellow on the top. I think there may be one where I may have put the flower, maybe not. But, and then I used some die cuts to die cut some dies. I used some embellishments on there that I got from Amazon and a stamp. And then, like I said, with these pieces, these that we didn't use, we can use them to make the tags, the little flags. I used them to make the flowers. I used them on the background. So here's another one. Same die cut, so I didn't need a lot. Different stamp set. This is a different die cut though, but again, used a piece there. This is the same as this one. And then this is from the same as this one, and these came with these die cuts. And then on this one I used some Nuvo drops, I believe is what those are on here, and then another piece of the blue, which was actually the offcut from that piece. I just cut it and made it a different way. So those are some of them that I've used using these types of card cuts. So basically what you're going to do now is you're going to take these and you're going to take one of these and one of these, so one of each of your papers, and then you're going to find another one that you like to go along with it. So like say we wanted to do that. Where the card base comes in is I will lay my card base down and I'll put the first piece down, and then I'll put this piece on there and think, do I like it like that? Would I prefer to have it on there like that? Do I want it down here? I will play with it on my card base to give me an idea of what I want. And then when I'm happy with it, I will glue it, these 2 pieces together. And then I'll use it for my next one. So maybe on this one I will do both of these the exact same way. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll take and do one like that and one like that. It's really up to you, but you've got, and you don't even have to use the same pieces. Like I could decide to use this piece on here and these 2 pieces together instead. So it's up to you how you want to use them, how you want to do them. You just need to mix and match and have fun. I'm going to get all these put together and then I will come back and show you what I did. And if you want to do them the exact same way, you can. If not, I'd love to see what you guys did with them. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these pieces together, and I'll fast forward through this part so you can watch me do this part, just so that you can get an idea of how my brain works, I guess. I don't know if that's the right thing, but some ideas maybe on how to place them. So I will go ahead and fast forward through so that you guys can kind of watch how I do this, and then we'll come back and we'll put them on card bases. So I have them all glued and pieced together, with the exception of these two, because I don't have a backing. I could put them on a white piece and then stick them on a card base, but there's really not a need to. And if we're just starting off with card making and we don't have a lot of extra supplies, why use that extra piece of paper when you could turn that into a card base, basically, because you would need 2 of them. So this is 2 cards. This is 3 cards. This one you saw me mess up multiple times, but I put glue on the back of this one, so I just went ahead. I had a card base over there, just went ahead and put that on a card base. So now we have this one done, so that's 4. This one we used some of the gray, as we did with this one, so there's 5, 6. Then we have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I'm going to get my card bases all cut and scored and get these glued down onto the card bases, and then I will come back. We will use these pieces to make some flags and some other things to put on the cards, and then we'll work on the fronts using probably some ephemera, maybe a stamp set, no dies though, because if you're just starting out, you're not going to have a die cutting machine. So I will be back. Okay, I have all of the cards put together on a base, and now we are going to put something on the front. You don't necessarily have to have a sentiment. You know, it doesn't have to say happy birthday or thinking of you. If you just have an image on the front, that would be sufficient. Like something like this. If you had someone that liked gnomes, you could make this a set of gift cards or box cards for them, and then they can use it to be, you know, happy birthday to you on the inside, or thinking of you, or, you know, you put a smile on my face, or I can't believe you did that. Whatever, they could do whatever they wanted to on the inside. But these are all stickers, actually, so no glue required. But it was a set that I got from Hobby Lobby. So these are some ephemera pieces, and so these are the ones we are going to use. I think for the most part, they will go on this card, on these cards. They don't look terrible on here, I don't think. And if you have someone in your life that likes gnomes, you could use just stickers as well. Like I have this sticker book that's got stickers in it, so if you wanted to do stickers, you could go through here and pick out some stickers like Stay Cozy or Our Family, The Good Life, and together they build a life. So like, let's say that we wanted, let's see what we've got here. Let's say we wanted to go with this one. This is a sticker, and we could plop that sticker right down on here just like that, because it already has a border around it. So let's do that. Now I usually with stickers will still put a little bit of glue on the back, just because I don't know how old the stickers are. I want to make sure they stick. I don't want them to pop off. You don't have to do that. If they're stickers, they're meant to be stuck down. So feel free to just do the sticker and not worry about adding a little extra glue. So I'm just going to stick that right there and try to make it as, you know, level as possible. But then there's that one. And then if we wanted to add a little something extra, we've got this here to make a flag. I am not good at it, but I will show you how I do it. I cut in the center, and then I will cut up one side. I usually then flip it over and just try to do it the best I can on the other side. Usually they both fall off. If they don't, then trim a little bit more on one side or the other. They may or may not be completely even, really up to you. And then you can decide how long you want that flag. Like if I wanted to, I could keep that entire thing on there, and that entire thing could be a flag. Or I could just decide I'm just going to trim across here and make it shorter and hope that I cut it straight. I could also use my paper trimmer to trim it. But then I'm going to use just a little bit of glue and make sure I get it on the corners, because I don't want a corner to catch as I'm sticking it in and out of an envelope. And then I'm going to try to do my best to make sure it's straight and is at the top of the blue layer. And then I usually keep either a paper towel or a microfiber cloth cloth nearby so that if I get glue, I can wipe the glue off. The glue that I use does leave, it dries clear, but it does leave a little bit of a shine. So there is our first card. We can come back in and add some additional embellishments if you want. We'll do that in just a little bit here. Let's move on to the next one here. Let's stick with the sticker book since we don't want to be using multiple different things. So let's just say we have this sticker book and we're gonna stick with it. So there's all kinds of small ones here. We could do multiple different things on here. Let's say that we like this one. This one doesn't have a border around it. If we stick it directly down on there, it might get a little lost. So, okay, let's stick it on a piece of gray. And let's try to get it so that I have the same amount of border. Let me push that up a little bit. The same amount of border on 3 sides. And I'm going to use, again, a little bit of glue. And then I'm going to... Glue also gives you a little bit of wiggle time. So if you don't get it right in the right place, then you can wiggle it a little bit and get it where you need it to be. And then again, you can take your scissors, your knife, whatever, and cut that. I'm going to grab my small paper trimmer here. I prefer the guillotine type over the other type of trimmers, only because the other type of trimmers, sometimes they rip my paper, especially the thinner paper. It probably wouldn't be so bad with the cardstock, but so I like my guillotines. I have the other kind, but I like my guillotines. And then I'm trying to line it up so that I have about the same amount on the other side as well. And now when we stick that on there, it gives it a little bit more. And we could go further and do another line with this so that it has that to ground it upon, or even do it like this so that it looks like that is going all the way across, and then put that on there like that. So we have thick layer, little layer, and then the ones on the top if we wanted to. So let's do that. Doing this really scientifically here, I'm just going to line this up against the gray. I'm going to go to the gray. If you didn't want to go to the gray, you didn't have to. Decent, not perfect, but using limited supplies. And you don't need the glue press. I have the glue press, so I use it. I didn't have it for a long time, but I started having problems with my shoulder, and I got it, and it really did help because it relieves some of the pressure, but it is not a necessity. If you had foam squares, you could take foam squares and pop that up. I get my foam squares usually from the Dollar Tree. They are $1.50 now, I guess. But again, you don't need that. We are just going to glue this straight down. If you wanted to, you could take some of the paper and lay another little piece here, another little piece here, so that that made it level. There'll be a little bit of an indentation up behind the picture because of that being of this piece here. It doesn't bother me. And again, if we're new to card making, we don't have a lot of extra supplies, so we're trying to make what we have go the furthest that it can go. But you can see that there's a little bit of a bump there. That doesn't bother me at all. And it's probably not going to bother the recipient that gets it either. We could do another flag if we wanted to, or we could do another flag that's different. So let's say we wanted to do a big flag, a really wide flag. Let's see if I can do this here. I'm doing the same. I'm cutting in the center, and the only reason I cut in the center is so I kind of know how far over I need to go with my scissors. That's really the only reason I make that cut in the center. If you don't go to that cut, or if you go beyond that cut, that's okay. This is just giving me something to look at to say, okay, I need to make it to that point there. So now I have that I can put there, which you can sort of see. I could put it down here below the houses. I think I'm going to do that. Don't have to have these either, but I'm getting my fingers so gluey. I'm going to go ahead and get some tweezers here. These happen to be reverse tweezers so that it holds it for me. I don't know what my problem is with glue, but I make a mess with glue. I just get glue all over everything. So most people don't have that problem, but apparently I failed in kindergarten when it came to drawing straight lines and gluing. Or they didn't teach it, you know, that was so long ago. You could reuse this piece if you wanted to. You've got that little bit of a cut there. I'm not. I'm going to throw that piece away. And then that one is done. Now we can come back and add some sequins or something on there as well. So, okay, we're going to move on to this card now. Let's see what else we've got here. Let's say we didn't want to do any kind of greeting. We just wanted to do, maybe someone got a new house and we were wishing them well in their new house. So we're just going to take this house and we are just going to put it down here in the center. You could layer this one up too if you wanted to. To me, that's a lot of cutting. And me and straight lines and me and getting equal spaces around the lines are about the same. So it looks a little catty-wonkish to me. I'm okay with that. I can come back here then and see, okay, do I have something on this page that maybe I could put on here? Like maybe this peaceful home. Maybe I want to, whoops, I peeled that one up. I'm going to definitely have to do something different with that. I peeled it up from the stickiness, so we're gonna peel this one up, and then I'm definitely gonna have to use some glue on here to fix that, but it's fixable. So I'm gonna glue that down just like that. So I fixed it. Now I could put, you know, this down here in the corner if I wanted to. Put it on the inside if you wanted to. I'm gonna use my tweezers again. It's sticky, so my tweezers are going to want to stick to it, but this also helps me decide, do I want it there? Do I want it over here? Do I want it up here? Do I want it here? You know, where might I want it? Do I want it right underneath the house so it looks like it's all one? I think I'm just going to stick it down here in the corner. And again, we'll come back and add some embellishments to that. Some sequence or something. So let's see what else we've got here. So this one, we could, if we wanted to, take one of these and add it as a decorative feature going up. We could spell out words with this one. We could just do a flower. So let's just say we wanted to stick a little flower right here. Add a little bit of glue. And we're going to stick that flower right here. And then I could go back to whatever page I took that flower off of. They repeat. I think it's probably 2 pages of each design. Maybe something like that. So I could find some more and put some more flowers on here if I wanted to, or do some greenery or some of the other pieces on here. But I can also go back to my words here. This one I pulled it off of, no, it's back here. So I could come back here and say, okay, let's see, what do I have? I have, these are all cooking related, kind of, because it is Good to Be Home is the name of the paper pad. There's an All I Need Is You. That's cute. How about Good Stuff Inside? It kind of matches the flower, and you know, we're gonna have some kind of something inside there. Now this one you could go like this if you wanted to and have it go along the diagonal like that. You could put it down here in the corner. You could do lots of different things with it. So let's see what else we got. I may switch over to the gnomes because I think some of the gnomes would be cute in here too. So I apologize. We are going to use some of the gnomes. So you could have done all of them in gnomes and you would have been okay, but let's see here. Life is a Fairy Tale. I don't really like that one there. No Place Like Home. Let's see. He's almost too big. He's cute. How about here? How about this one? Gnome Sweet Gnome. Do we like that one? So many choices. And he's not bad. If we put him on there, he is bigger than the pieces that we have behind him, but I think he's okay. So we're going to go ahead and use him. Like I said, these are stickers. They just peel right off. And these did come from Hobby Lobby in their, I think it was in their sticker area, but they are considered ephemera. So we're going to pop him down here. Now his hat may not touch because there's 2 layers there, and the little piece of the wheel may not touch. You can use something heavy on there to get the glue to stick, but since it's also a sticker, I think we'll be okay. All right, so we're going to speed this up a little. So now we've got all these done. We can go back and add some flags if we wanted to. We can come back in and add embellishments. If you wanted to, you could just do stitching. Like there's some of them that maybe stitching would be all that you would need, and just put some stitching around there. I will go ahead and add some sequins to them, and then I will add a picture of the cards once they are done at the end. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. We will be making some cards in the next video that are from a card design, but still using just very minimal paper. So if the card design has some kind of image in the center that is something you would need a die cut with, we will change that up so that it is just something we can use scissors, paper trimmer, or an X-Acto knife or something with. So hopefully you'll join me for that one as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed and learned something today. I'd love to see your cards, so be sure to tag me if you make some cards using 2 sheets of paper, 2 sheets of 12 by 12 paper, and we wound up using 4 sheets of the 8.5 by 11, but probably could have gotten away with 3 if I would have cut them a little different, because we did have quite a few scraps, but we will use some of those in finishing up the cards. So hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you again soon. Bye. I'm going to jump back on really quick here just to show you something that I use as embellishments, that if you do any diamond art, if you've done some diamond art in the past and you have bunch of extras, because they always give you way too many, these make great embellishments on cards as well. So I have these that are here. I mixed all these together. I've left all these in the one color. I have a take your pick tool, but you could use the pool. You could use the pool. You could use the tool that came with your diamond arts to do this with. You would not need a different one, but we're gonna just put some on here, and they can be the same color, they could be different colors, they could be very variegated or ombre effect, not variegated. Might be easier to get the little dish out and put them in the dish. And then let's see, I think there's a white one in here. So I could do these along the edge like this as an embellishment, but that's a great way to use up your diamond dots extras as well. So that's what I'm going to use for embellishments on these cards, and then like I said, I'll add a picture at the end, but I thought I'd just hop back on to let you know what I'm using and how I'm using it. But you could, like I said, also use the tool. If you have the fancy tools, you could use the tool to pick it up as well. So, you know, the tool picks it up, and then you could add a dab of glue. I would just put a little bit of glue. Like, you could add as many as you want. I usually do things in 3s at least, or odd numbers, I should say. So then I would just take like this one and set it on there. I'd take this one and set it on there. And this one, didn't really get it where I wanted it, so I'd just drag it a little bit and set it down in a little different place. And then I could take your card, or not your card, your rag, and wipe up the glue that you didn't use. So I'm going to put that one right there. doing a very good job of lining those up, am I? But then I would just take my towel here, and I wouldn't rub, but I would just dab to try and get them to be where I needed them to be. But then there's those three. And like I said, the glue dries clear, but it does leave a little bit of a gloss to it because it's not a matte finish glue. So I'm going to do that, add 3 more down at the bottom, and then add some to the other cards, and I will show pictures of them all at the end. Goodbye for real this time. I'll see you next time. Bye.